But Naruto was not stupid. He knew what would happen if he let her hit him, so he deflected all her blows, though Anko's speed was only increasing as he found himself pushed to his limits. She was baffled that the boy was able to predict all her movements, but it didn't stop her from trying. God damn this guy, he's starting to annoy me. Within a minute, his eye caught a strike that he had no chance of deflecting, so he jumped back away from Anko. I am still much below her level in Taijutsu. She could have overwhelmed me within a few more moments. But thanks to my Dojutsu, I can easily predict where she will strike, and act accordingly. Still, no use taking chances. Kushina and others watched everything closely, ready to interfere at a moment's notice. They were not samurai, so they didn't care if it would be fair to gang up on the Kunoichi or not. And they were kidnapping her, which wasn't really the most honorable thing either. But Kushina wanted Naruto to be able to test his limit against an opponent who is not his family, and thus is willing to harm him. While they didn't pull their punches on each other in training, a real battle against a powerful enemy was a different experience that all of them needed. She could have sent Natsumi or Kasumi as well, but they had already decided on Naruto by logically weighing all their options. 3 voices shouted simultaneously, "Yan Kenpon!" Kasumi and Natsumi both had paper, while Naruto had scissors. Her attention snapped back to the arena as Naruto jumped back to avoid lethal strike. Naruto was already in the middle of forming hand seals at a fast pace to perform an advanced suit ninjutsu. Senijashu, a hidden shadow snake hands. Naruto cursed mentally but didn't get much time to think as the poisonous snakes were advancing at him at lightning-fast speeds. Had he been able to complete his technique, the Jonin would have been severely weakened or completely out of the fight. But her speed of initiating the technique was impressive enough to catch him off guard. Usually Anko used this technique to restrain people, but she was not taking any chances now, so she had instructed the snakes to inject lethal poison into Naruto's bloodstream. She smirked, but it was wiped off just as soon. Too late to block or dodge now. No choice then. Amaterasu, goddess of sun. The snakes didn't even feel the pain as they were incinerated as soon as the black fire touched them. Anko sprung out of the way of the black flames, staring wide-eyed. "What the fuck is that jutsu?" she demanded. Naruto frowned. He hadn't planned on using any bloodline techniques during his battle, but he had been forced to do so. Moreover, his lenses had stopped concealing his Dojutsu as soon as he used Amaterasu. He didn't have good enough control to keep them active and use advanced techniques at the same time. Oh well, that just means Anko got her one-way ticket to hell. There is no harm in telling her, but why should I? Who knows what weakness she might find from my explanation? Kushina smirked as Naruto ignored Anko's demand. She had drilled into Naruto's head how most shinobi were foolish enough to boast how their techniques worked to their opponents, which led to their downfall. None of them would ever do so as it just didn't make any sense and was a waste of time. Anko glared at Naruto as he remained silent. "Fine, have it your way." Her eyes narrowed when she saw Naruto's now revealed Dojutsu. It seems they have been hiding more than what I thought. I wonder what else he has up his sleeve. But I haven't heard of Uzumaki having a Dojutsu. They must have been hiding it pretty damn well. Which one is it though? Out of the 3 great Dojutsu, it is not Sharingan, definitely not the Byakugan. Then her eyes widened. There is, and no way Uzumaki had the Rinnegan all along, and no one knew. It was supposed to be a myth. She started going through hand seals that were very familiar to Naruto as she grit her teeth as desperation. Uchiyose no Jutsu. A giant snake appeared with a puff of smoke. Naruto smirked. He knew that most people who knew summoning almost always used their summons in critical battles, but he had the perfect way to counter that. Kanashibari no Jutsu, temporary body paralysis technique. The snake froze in its place. Naruto wasted no time as he charged forward, which caused Anko to raise an eyebrow. What is he, going to punch a huge snake to death? Within seconds it will be free from the paralysis. She was going to mock him for it, but her words died in her throat as Naruto took out the Raijin from the dragon seal on his right arm, which also worked as a storage seal for his sword. She noticed that the tattoo seemed eerily similar to a summoning tattoo. A dragon summoner? And what does 24 mean? Shuri! I dragon strike, he slashed the Raijin vertically downwards towards the snake. A red-black translucent dragon came out of the sword and headed straight towards the snake. Doton. Doroku Gashi. Earth style. Terra shield. As Anko finished her jutsu, a wall of earth rose in between her summon and the dragon. The dragon was not extremely fast, and a ninja could have easily dodged it. But her summon was large and paralyzed. She expected the dragon to blow up the wall and the attack to be stopped there, but to her surprise, the dragon passed right through the wall without disturbing a single dust particle. Naruto, meanwhile, raced towards the snake himself, which Anko noticed and jumped down to intercept him. Taking out a kunai, she engaged him, or tried to. Anko was shocked when the boy's sword passed through her kunai, like it wasn't even there. But she could tell that her kunai was cut, unfortunately, with nothing to intercept his sword with, and not expecting her kunai to be cut through. Anko received a deep wound diagonally across her chest. "Ah!" she cried in pain. But before she could comprehend what was happening, she heard Naruto's voice again. "Mokuton! Rasengan!" Naruto slammed the extremely weakened version of his technique in Anko's gut. He had only put the rotation of the Rasengan up to level 2, and added the wood element in minimum quantities. The effect was instantaneous. Anko felt all the pain in her body leave as she relaxed, feeling strangely safe and at peace, even as she was being thrown backwards. Suddenly, a tree grew in Anko's path, in which she slammed, and vines started to sprout from below her feet and wrapped around her entire body to the tree, completely restraining her. Naruto sighed as he realized that Anko had successfully delayed him enough to make his soul dragon dissipate. There go another 3 souls. Before he could start moving, however, the Anko inside his vine prison dissolved into mud, revealing itself as a clone. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise as he found himself strapped in place by ninja wires. Keiton. Rinkan no Jutsu. Fire style. Dragon Flame Jutsu. The flames moved at alarming speeds through the wire towards Naruto, who closed his eyes waiting for the impact, a horrified expression on his face. Anko smirked seeing this. The brat wasn't so tough after all. Before her flames could incinerate him, though, the boy started to grin, unsettling Anko a bit. F. Jutsu Ki-in. Eye blocking technique absorption seal. Anko gaped as all her flames were sucked in the boy's eyes. As her technique ended, she noticed there was not a single wire strapped around the boy, and a log was trapped where the boy was supposed to be. Ow, she whispered. She understood the replacement, but he just absorbed her attack. Naruto just grinned. Suiten ha Hanri. Water release, destruction torrent, B rank. A vortex of water formed in Naruto's hand and raced towards Anko, who didn't waste any time in dodging. You're just wasting your chakra this way, she smirked, trying to hide her unease around the boy. He didn't seem worried about facing her at all. Until now, he had been able to counter all her moves easily, except taijutsu, which she couldn't engage in as he was keeping her at a distance. Plus, she had nothing to stop that sword with. It was too risky. Even if she did win, there was no guarantee that she could beat the others that are waiting for her to finish with the brat. Deciding on a particularly risky strategy, she sighed and went through the hand seals for her jutsu. I guess this is it. Naruto could have stopped her, but this was the first jutsu that he didn't already know and could perform that Anko was, oh so graciously, letting him copy. Ketan, Zukaku, I fire release. Intense pain, a rank. Naruto whistled as a huge burst of fire engulfed the area around Anko, which then transformed into an enormous fireball that looked about ready to blow up. He gritted his teeth in frustration as he realized what Anko was trying to do. Shit, if she lets that sphere of fire blow up so close to her, she will kill herself. He watched in anger as the entire area was set aflame. Sighing, he activated his defense against those flames. Jutsu Keen. The flames around him started to get sucked into his palms, as unlike last time they were free. So the suction was faster, but the flames would already have incinerated Anko by now. He felt a little bit of worry for others too, as they were within the blast radius, but knew they could defend themselves. He sighed in relief as he saw water materializing out of thin air and drowning out the flames. Looking around, he noticed that all the trees that used to be there were gone, reduced to ashes. The flames had stopped at the compound walls due to the protective barrier. Natsumi, Kushina, and Nina were surrounded by thick spheres of water, while Kasumi was nowhere to be found. He frowned, and then he noticed that there was still someone standing where Anko was supposed to be. Being smart enough to understand what happened, he smirked. Anko grunted in pain from exhaustion. Shit, this bitch appeared out of nowhere with a red flash. How could she... Can it be? The Ahirishin? She whispered to herself. She was surrounded by a dome of water as well. She jumped away from Kasumi as she was blasted with her killing intent. You bitch! What were you trying to do with that? Before Anko could realize what was happening, thanks to all the exhaustion and pain, Kasumi had backhanded her with enough force to send her sprawling along the ground. Anko grunted in pain, but couldn't defend himself. The fight with Naruto had taken everything she had, and she had no power left. Kasumi didn't seem satisfied and spun on her left heel, swinging her right leg horizontally in Anko's direction. Anko's eyes once again widened as an extremely sharp blade of water materialized from the arc formed by Kasumi's right heel and moved at her with blinding speeds. It was aimed at her legs, but she shifted just in time to make it aimed at her neck. Then she closed her eyes, waiting for the pain. It was her plan anyway, to not let her kidnappers get whatever they wanted, which was why she had more or less committed suicide with the last move. Before the blade could cut her to pieces, though, Nina appeared in front of her with a shunshin. Kaiten! Anko also felt someone grab her and move her out of the way. She looked up to see Naruto had grabbed her hand and moved her out of the way. Meanwhile, Kushina had appeared right behind Kasumi. Stop it, Kasumi-chan. She had no chance of killing Naruto, and you know that too. Kasumi gritted her teeth in anger. What if Onui-chan didn't know that absorption technique? Kushina sighed. Control yourself, Kasumi-chan. Remember, she is useless for us if she is dead. And Naruto could have finished this fight within seconds if he didn't have to capture her alive. Kasumi was still not satisfied but kept her mouth shut. She knew that Naruto was only playing with Anko the whole time, but couldn't help but get worried when Anko had let loose such a powerful fire attack. Unknown to everyone else, Anko had used this time to concentrate and mold the last of her chakra in her final technique. She smiled victoriously as she grabbed Naruto's hand and formed a single hand seal. Soja Sosai no Jutsu. Y-twin snakes mutual death technique. Two snakes emerged from Anko's sleeve to bite them both and complete the ritual, but they never managed to sink their fangs. Naruto just shook his head at the Jonin's foolishness. Nina had been able to see Anko molding chakra for a jutsu even behind her back, thanks to her all-round vision, and had given Naruto a discreet signal. Not that Naruto hadn't sensed the chakra being channeled in the first place. Shinra. Tensei. Anko was blasted back by the force, most of her bones in fragments now, and an unimaginable amount of pain racking her body. She was caught in midair by Natsumi, who huffed as she put down the now unconscious, but still trembling Anko. You all know that I will have to heal her, and she looks like she went through a paper shredder multiple times. Naruto grinned and rubbed the back of his head. I didn't mean to, but she just wouldn't stop. On a positive note, Kasumi didn't chop her legs off, right? Kasumi blushed in embarrassment as Natsumi's eyebrow twitched. Well, she is lucky she didn't, as we don't know how stressful the seal's modification or removal process is going to be. Nina nodded in agreement with Natsumi. Yes, we don't want our only chance at confirming a counter for that seal to be gone just like that. We don't want Natsumi to be put in danger by using a possibly fatal seal. Kasumi paled as she realized the effects of what could have happened had she hit. Note to self: control emotions better. Kushina just sighed as she approached Naruto. So what do you think? She asked. Naruto snorted as he summarized the battle. She was better than me at taijutsu. Unless I started using Tozi, which would have increased my speed and strength. But other than that, it wasn't that tough. I did get an A-rank fire technique for us though. I had her playing in my hand the whole time. When she had replaced herself with a mud clone on getting hit by my Mokuton Rasengan, I was able to detect earth nature chakra thanks to my Yogengan. But I didn't want to give her a clue that I can do that, and it was funny to see her getting all hopeful thinking she can get away. But still, I got too careless when I allowed her to get too far away. I was way out of range to stop her from suicide if it wasn't for Kasumi. I never expected her to try something like that. Kushina frowned but nodded. You should be careful with suicide moves, Naruto-koi. They are the most dangerous things an enemy can throw at you. Remember, even Hitomi-chan got sealed by a suicide move. You are no different. Naruto frowned and thought, I guess so. I'll have to be more careful from now on. Kushina smiled and nodded at him. Sure, Naruto-koi. Now that the show is over, let's get inside. But before that, I want all of you, except Nina, to send 3 cage bunchins for each of our dark chores. They did so and proceeded to take Anko inside the compound. The cage bunchins were more than capable of completing all the chores as they didn't really involve the risks of getting hit and dispelling. Of course, they will still get a headache from the memories of the babysitting mission, but it was better than having to do it themselves. Uzumaki, compound. Naruto was deep in thought as he considered the consequences of what Hitomi had told him about the changes that his Uzumaki Jinsei Kizuna F9 was making. The technique perfection of Yogengan was now supposed to take less chakra than before, which was one of the best things he could have hoped for. But still, if he wanted to use something in battle situations, the waste of chakra was unacceptable. So he will have to manually master as many of his techniques as possible. He had tested this theory by trying to make a Mokuton Rasengan during the fight with Anko, which somewhat worked. Then, his already decent regeneration was supposed to get a boost. His aging was already frozen thanks to his partial demonification, but now he could increase or decrease his age gradually with chakra. His blood didn't seem to have any healing properties though. Another thing that was bothering him was the fact that Anko could have beaten him in a taijutsu-only match, unless he used Tozi to help with his speed and strength. His form and style were perfect, but he just didn't have the experience of a jonin like Anko. I guess that's one of the things there is no shortcut for. Oh well, I will get experience eventually. He shook his head to clear it, and then proceeded to add the newly acquired A-rank Katon technique to Uzumaki Library. Their collection was already very extensive, containing more F-ninjutsu scrolls than all of the elemental nations combined. And enough ninjutsu to make any great village green with envy? Kushina had spent a lot of time adding as many jutsu as possible to the library, and Nina had contributed greatly to the fine jutsu archives. As it was right now, they were going to study Anko's seal. Since all of them were proficient in F-ninjutsu, they didn't think there would be anything they couldn't understand in Orochimaru's seal. The cursed seal was said to have no cure, but the fact was, as far as they knew, no seal master had tried to break it yet. There weren't that many seal masters to begin with, and Konoha's only seal master Jiraiya was way too busy with peeping and spying to ever get the time to properly study the cursed seal. The Uzumaki, on the other hand, were specialized in different forms of F-ninjutsu. Nina specialized in chakra henkan, ayatsuri, change and manipulation. F-ninjutsu, Kushina specialized in keke, barrier, F-ninjutsu, Kasumi specialized in jakikan, space-time, F-ninjutsu, Natsumi and Aereo, medical F-ninjutsu, while Naruto himself was adept at kenka, combat, F-ninjutsu. With all of them together, there was no way that there was a seal that could be made by Orochimaru, who wasn't even a seal master. that they can't decipher. 3 hours later. That was a pretty impressive piece of work for someone who isn't even supposed to be a seal master. Kushina couldn't help but agree with her. I know, either Orochimaru has been hiding a lot of skill, or he has someone who is as good as us in F9 jutsu on his side. Naruto frowned. Either is not a good news for us, is it? We will need to be much more careful. All of them nodded in agreement with him. They had been working on a counter seal for a few hours. Quite frankly, it shouldn't have taken this long for 5 Uzumaki to counter a single seal, but this one seemed exceptionally well made. The design was intriguing for them. The seal functioned in many parts, much like the Shiki Fujin, which had fail-safe kill switch, restrain, lock, and absorb parts. The cursed seal had 4 parts as well. The first part contained a special enzyme that they couldn't quite place the origin of. From what Natsumi had been able to understand, said enzyme corrupted its host's chakra and mind, making the mind weaker and chakra more potent. Another notable effect was it enabled the user to have an advanced regeneration very much like the Uzumaki bloodline, as well as a soul shift. Hitomi had described soul shift as basically changing your current body into the representation of your soul. Normally this would have no bad effect on a sane human, but those with the cursed seal tend to have a twisted mind, thus becoming something that would look similar to twisted monsters. In case of demons, the soul shift was what led to their demon forms. Yubi had a foxy personality, mischievous, cunning, and smart. At the same time, she was strong and swift, hence a fox was what she would think of herself as. Sambi was calm, gentle, and quiet, preferred to be left alone and doze off, hence she was a turtle, and so on. Why Shikaku was a crazy-ass desert raccoon dog was beyond Kimbai's understanding, so she refused to answer that question. The second part was an absorption seal that absorbed the user's chakra constantly, making it so that he only had half of his reserves at his disposal most of the time. This chakra was then corrupted by the enzyme, thus making it much more potent. Whenever a cursed seal user would activate his seal, he would instantly feel 4 times more powerful than what he usually does thanks to the remaining half of his own chakra that was stolen by the seal, albeit 3 times more potent than before returned to him. This made the seal addictive to the user, as well as making them believe that they were somehow becoming much stronger whenever the seal was in use, which in a way was true. The more dangerous part of the seal was where the user activates what could be considered as level 2 of this seal, which will let the strange enzyme flow through the user's body, giving them advanced regeneration, which, when mixed with their high cursed seal reserves, would work beyond what even the Uzumaki regeneration offered. This had shocked them greatly, to say the least, but still they couldn't deny the truth. Again, that was something that most would believe a great gift unless they knew the workings behind the seal. With the enzyme flowing freely through the body, the person's mind and soul got corrupted even faster. And it wasn't the darker thoughts corruption, but an unhealthy corruption that slowly poisoned the person, leading to an eventual painful death. The third part of the seal was a remote pain-inducing and kill switch. This was a total rip-off from the Hyuga caged bird seal, so the Uzumaki didn't bother researching much on it. Orochimaru have probably taken the seal from them and adapted it into his own design. It lets the person who knows the required molding pattern induce pain or kill the person with the cursed seal. Of course, that would have been a stupid mistake that both the Hyuga and Orochimaru made. They had to key in the molding patterns into the seals, and the Uzumaki had easily deciphered those patterns, and could now kill any Hyuga branch family member. But Orochimaru was not that stupid, and the Uzumaki couldn't kill a cursed seal user just because they knew those patterns. Only Orochimaru could activate a cursed seal given by him. That was because of the fourth part of the cursed seal, a soul fragment of Orochimaru sealed inside the array. The Hyuga couldn't do the same, as they wanted all the main branch family to be able to activate the caged bird seal, while Orochimaru only needed himself to be in control. The very thought of it terrified all 5 of them. To have Orochimaru's soul fragment in Natsumi, even for a moment, was unacceptable. Who knows what that pedophile was going to do inside her body? No, that was not tolerable at all. Naruto, sighed as all these thoughts ran through his mind. This is giving me a fucking headache. What are we going to do now? Nina tapped her chin and thought. I think that the reason the cursed seal makes the victims loyal to Orochimaru is mostly because of that soul fragment, as the Hyuga branch family sure as hell doesn't look loyal to the main branch. So that soul fragment should be somehow capable of influencing the victim's soul from its mere presence. You know, I was wondering, why is Anko not influenced by her seal? She should be loyal to Orochimaru given how long she has had that seal. Natsumi shook her head. I don't think so, Naruto-kun. Unless she uses the seal at least once, and lets her chakra be absorbed into the seal, it will be unable to invade her chakra coils. Once it does have the user's chakra, it will be able to constantly influence that body. Others nodded, accepting her explanation. Seals were a complex art, which had many branches. No matter how good you were, sooner or later you came to a point where you had to choose an area to specialize in. They had all chosen theirs, and Natsumi was the only one with medical seals as her specialization, so they depended on her as far as that type of Jutsu was concerned. They sat there in silence considering all the options they had. They could have completely removed Anko's seal, of course, but Natsumi wanted to study the strange enzyme. It had bad effects, yes, but at the same time it offered some advantages as well. If the bad effects could be removed, making chakra 3 times more potent sounded pretty good. I was wondering. Naruto spoke, if we could somehow harvest that soul fragment of Orochimaru, then we will be able to extract all his knowledge and plans. Others raised their eyebrows in interest. Kushina finally asked him to explain what he meant. He smirked. Well, the soul has memories of whomever it belonged to. I can say this because I only had Kain-chan's soul sealed into me, and she remembers everything she did in her life. I know you all are going to say it's just a part of his soul and not complete. But then again, Kai-chan's soul is slowly being absorbed into me, so it isn't complete either, but she is still the same person. In his head, Hitomi nodded in agreement. You are correct, Naruto-kun. The only effect this process is having on me is weakening my soul, which will in turn weaken me when and if I am released. When we started off, I was strong enough to be able to accumulate a fourth of what Kei-sama's power used to be. If I am released in, say, 3 years from now, I will lose a fifth of my total power, bringing my power level down to what would be if you increase an eighth in Hachibi or multiply Shikaku's chakra by 9. That is to say, what my power was supposed to be if the distribution had been fair. And if you don't release me within next 63 years, I will cease to exist. We have plenty of time, but if you do bring me back 60 years later, I will have Chainin level reserves, and I will kick your ass for it. I want to have at least better than Hachibi reserves, damn it! Naruto sighed on hearing her go on ranting about how she is supposed to be the most kick-ass bitch ever, and it wouldn't do for Hachibi to have more power than her. Alright. I promise I will find a way to get you out of here within the next 3 years, okay? Hitomi nodded mentally. Sorry, I didn't mean to rant, but it will be really embarrassing if that octopus or bull or whatever the fuck he really is has more chakra than me. Naruto sighed in defeat, hoping to get her out within 3 years or he would be having constant headaches. Can you simplify the power distribution between the Bi for me again, Kai-chan? Just to make sure I got it right. To put it simply, Kasama's power was divided in 48 parts. I got 12 parts out of those. Hachibi got 8, Nanabe got 7, Rokubi got 6, Gobi got 5, Yambi got 4, Sambi got 3, Naibi got 2, and Ichibi got 1. Clear enough? Very. Thank you, Kai-chan. Natsumi's voice broke him out as inner musings. So you're saying that we have something that contains Orochimaru's memories? Huh. Oh yeah, but only up to the point where that soul fragment got separated from the original. I don't think it will be aware of what happened afterwards. Kasumi seemed to be deep in thought as she mulled over some options in her head. I was wondering how in the world did Orochimaru keep fragmenting his soul and not be weakened, and how does one fragment their soul anyway? They all looked at each other, but pretty soon it was clear they had no idea. When you make shadow clones, they have all your memories and personality. But they are weaker. They are not the actual parts of your soul, just a mere shadow or replica of them. Otherwise, Kasumi would probably die making thousands of clones. Hitomi spoke in Naruto's mind, causing his eyes to widen in realization. I see? Huh? Kasumi questioned. Naruto looked at her and smiled. When we create shadow clones, we are actually replicating a small part of our souls. If Orochimaru seals a shadow clone in the seal, then he is basically sealing a fragment of his soul, who has his memories and will take the same decisions that he would have taken. Basically a weaker version of himself. So that is why not all his subordinates have his cursed seal. Even if he is a cage-level ninja, there's a limit to how many clones he can create every day. He doesn't have the cursed seal on himself, probably because he's too afraid of the side effects of that enzyme and wants to perfect his design. They all frowned in thought upon hearing that. But Naruto-kun, that means we can't extract the information from the seal about Orochimaru's plans. Naruto grinned at her. Don't worry, Natsumi-chan. I know a way for doing that. Let me show you. An hour later, Anko was lying on a table in the center of the sealing chamber, which was filled with multiple sealing arrays of various designs. Naruto was pressing 2 fingers on Anko's curse mark, while all others were working on the array surrounding her body. All right, on the count of 3 start the procedure, Naruto instructed. They all put their trust in Naruto and waited for his command. 1, 2, 3? Nina started, Ayatsuri-fan. Yabsorption seal. The seal stopped absorbing chakra from Anko. Tamash Hahen Fen. Kai. Muzol Shard seal. Release. Kasumi's technique released the soul shard from the seal. Taking it as his cue, Naruto pressed his fingers on the seal harder as they were surrounded by blue chakra. His dojutsu flared, Rinnegan, Tamash Toridashi. Rinnegan. Soul extraction. Shihaikagain F9. Kill switch seal. Kushina affirmed as she formed a barrier around the kill switch array to prevent it from destroying the soul shard as a failsafe. Takubetsu. Ekitai Haitefon Kai. Genzami containment seal. Release. As soon as Natsumi did that, the last link holding the soul shard to the seal got removed. It was then that Naruto was able to pull out the soul shard completely, and he closed his eyes as memories that were not his came rushing into his brain. Topotetsu. Ekitai Haite Fine. Genzime containment seal. Natsumi resealed the enzymes, as she didn't need them to react adversely and mutate Anko's body yet. They all sighed in relief as everything had gone according to their plans and looked towards Naruto for any result. Slowly they saw as Naruto started turning green, greener, and then came the time when he invented new shades of green. Onto-chan? Kasumi asked in worry. Finally? Naruto opened his eyes. His skin had acquired a sickly green tint to it, and he looked ready to puke his guts out. What's wrong, honey? You okay? Kushina was almost as worried as her daughter for her son's health. Grrr. Damn, that Orochimaru is a sick bastard. When I said he liked little boys, I meant that as a joke. But god damn it! He shuddered. Note to self. No mind reading sick people. No one spoke anything on that as their faces held nothing but shock. How could we not take into account the adverse effects of Orochimaru's memories? Nina whispered in disbelief. Kushina shook her head sadly. No matter how much we plan, we'll miss something. Now, Naruto Koi. It couldn't have been that bad, right? She asked him nervously. Naruto looked at her oddly. You want to see what I saw? She quickly shook her head in negative with wide eyes. Naruto's lower lips trembled as he made a really cute pouting pose. Kasumi-chan, would you like to take them from me? He pleaded. Kasumi's eyes widened in horror. Onusama, I love you more than my life, and you can ask anything, just and not that. I don't want to have memories of being intimate with anyone else, let alone little boys and being a man. She shuddered. Naruto started to cry fake tears. I thought you all loved me. Anything but that, Naruto-kun, we can't handle that, they all replied in unison. Naruto growled as he couldn't get those completely and utterly disgusting images out of his head. He did get a wide arsenal of jutsu, which he will have to learn before he could use, but that didn't compensate in the slightest for the trash that came free with it. The kind of experiments Orochimaru performed didn't even begin to compare to Natsume's. Hell, Natsume wouldn't be able to hold her stomach if she ever saw even one of those. Finally, he stormed out of the room, as the girls that were inside felt even more horrible for not helping him with his problem. I will go, Kachan. Kasumi's voice was shaky. While Kushina herself got up, I'll be coming with you. Natsumi, Nina-san, please go get some sleep, I have some plans for tomorrow. The other two nodded sadly. They didn't want Naruto to suffer alone, but they just didn't have enough courage to handle something like that. They made a mental note to repay the favor to him soon as they left to get some sleep. A few minutes later, Naruto was sitting outside the compound building but within the boundary, with his back against a pillar as he gazed into the starry sky. Auntie-chan. She steeled her resolve. I'll do it if it bothers you that much. Naruto sighed as he turned around and smiled at her. He motioned for her to come near him. Once she was comfortably sitting on his lap, he started to whisper in her ear. Don't worry about it, princess. I've seen worse. She raised an eyebrow at his words. Now feeling even more worried, what did he see worse than that? You have, she finally managed to squeak out. Okay, I haven't seen anything worse than that, he muttered in defeat. But, he continued with a grin, I can handle it. Besides, you call me your big brother, so it's my responsibility to protect my little sister from such harmful memories, not give them to her. I was only kidding when I asked you to take them. Kasumi nodded against his chest. She had been scared to take those memories from him, if it was even possible to transfer them. She didn't know how it could be done, or if Naruto had been joking about that as well. So appalling. I'm relieved that he didn't do it. Teach. After a while of uncomfortable silence, Naruto whispered in her ear. You know, Kasumi, you shouldn't do things that you don't like just for me. What do you mean, Anu-chan? She questioned, confused what he was referring to. He sighed as he rubbed her back with his left hand and leaned against the pillar he was sitting by the side of. What I mean is, just like you want to see me happy, I want to see you happy too. If you only concentrate on my happiness and disregard your own, I won't ever be truly happy, right? Kasumi froze as his words smacked into her like a ton of bricks. She had always wanted to see him happy. It was always on the top of her priority list. But just wanting something to happen wouldn't make it happen by itself. Her mother's words rung in her ears. Road to hell is paved with good intentions. I'm not saying you should stop loving me, as I know you can't do that. I wouldn't want you to. He gave her a warm smile, which she returned shyly, still shaken from his earlier words. What I am saying is, try to enjoy the time we spend together and be happy with me, not just for me. She nodded against his chest. I will try my best, Onigwa-chan, but I've thought it through already, she answered hesitantly. Even though you may not understand my thinking, and I know I'm more than a little weird. It's just that, if you think I'm not happy doing what I can for you, you're wrong. Kushina smiled as she saw and heard everything. Those two were good, but still not enough to detect her presence. She could completely seal her presence, even from the likes of Naruto. Many underestimated the capabilities of barrier-type seals, but it was thanks to them that she could be within an arm's length of someone, and be undetected even if he has the Byakugan. Having all her chakra sealed up inside a sealing barrier, along with her presence, sounds, and everything else, the only way to find a spy like her was to stumble across her by dumb luck. It can happen, of course, but the chances were slim. Kasumi gasped sharply, as out of nowhere her mother emerged from behind her. She never got used to that feeling, even though she herself used Yogengan ninjutsu. A few moments later, she relaxed as she let her mother and brother hug her. Naruto koi Kasumi-chan, let's go to bed now. I have some important tasks for us tomorrow, and we can't be late. She told them softly. Of course we can wait for an hour, or 2, or 3 depending on Naruto-kun. But afterwards we'll have to sleep, she grinned. Naruto grinned back as he picked Kasumi bridal style and the trio headed for the bedroom. This will help divert my focus away from those disgusting things. Naruto's room. Lemon warning. Incest rule. Naruto grinned as he put Kasumi down in front of him and caught the sight of Kushina starting to take off her clothes. He didn't waste any time in undoing Kasumi's and ripped off her dress. That was an expensive dress, Sanari-chan. She pouted, but he shut her up with a passionate kiss on the lips, slipping his tongue in her warm mouth, which she promptly sucked on. She moaned as she felt another pair of arms circle around her waist and a pair of soft breasts press against her back, while her brother groped her. Kushina started kissing Kasumi's jawline and neck as she slid her hands down the other redhead's panties. Kasumi gasped as she felt slim and nimble fingers probe her. Those were definitely not Naruto's. Her brother didn't let her protest, however, as he unclasped her bra and bit on her left breast, making her scream in pain and pleasure. She squirmed as she was sandwiched between the two Uzumaki and was lost in a world of pleasure as her mother's dexterous fingers continued to pump in and out of her tight love. Canal NPF. Ah! Kushina gave Naruto a look, at which he grinned and nodded. Just as Kasumi was getting closer, Kushina withdrew her fingers and Naruto stopped playing with her breasts. Earning a whimper from the young redhead, she opened her eyes to see Naruto with his tongue down Kushina's throat and both moaning into each other, as Kushina rubbed his hard on with her right hand. Kasumi whimpered as she saw them heavily make out right in front of her as she was left to just watch. She slid her hand down in her panties and started to rub herself, but remembered all too soon that she couldn't really achieve satisfaction through her own fingers. She watched as Kushina withdrew from Naruto's mouth and gasped for breath, then started to trail kisses down his neck, chest, and finally his rock-hard dick. She started with a slow pumping motion with her hands while sucking on the tip. As she did so, Naruto moaned in pleasure. Finally, unable to just stand by and wait, Kasumi knelt down by Kushina's side and started to help her service Naruto's cock. The blonde's breath hitched as he saw and felt both his gorgeous mother and twin sister pleasuring him. Kushina had taken her hands off and was eagerly sucking off at his tip as Kasumi licked him from bottom to top and back, sucking on his jewels occasionally. A few minutes of those wonderful and skillful ministrations of the redheads later, Naruto found himself about to release. "Get ready, Ka-chan, Kasumi-chan," he warned them. Kasumi was well aware that Kushina was still bobbing up and down with tip inside her mouth, and if she didn't do anything soon, she would be left without her brother's sperm. As she heard Naruto grunt and start releasing his spunk into Kushina's mouth, and heard her gulping it all down as well, Kasumi growled and forcefully kissed Kushina with Naruto's dick still in her mouth. Naruto watched as both redheads started to kiss each other passionately, fighting for his load with their tongues as some of his hot white cream dribbled down their chins. If Kushina had some more experience, she would have won, but as it was, Kasumi managed to get most of his load through sheer enthusiasm, while Kushina was left pouting cutely, with cum dribbling down her chin and onto her breasts. Seeing the precious fluid just sticking there on her mother's breasts without use, Kasumi frowned and proceeded to lick it off while Kushina gasped as her pleasure senses began to go haywire. Within a few minutes there was not a single drop of his cum anywhere but Kasumi's belly, and some in Kushina's. Kasumi's saliva covered most of the other redhead's body because of the thorough cleaning. Naruto pushed them both back forcefully, making Kasumi lie down with her back on the floor, while Kushina lay on top of her. Kasumi was still trying to find and completely clean off any leftover cum, sticking on Kushina's breasts and face, even though there was none left. Naruto felt his member's hardness reach to almost painful levels as he saw both beauties make out. Without waiting any further, he proceeded to insert himself into Kushina. She gritted her teeth in pain as Naruto slowly slid into her, and her velvety walls caressed his length. After 8 inches, he hit the opening to her womb, where he stopped with 2 inches of his dick still sticking out. He withdrew all the way out and pushed back in with a little more force, this time stretching her a bit, successfully inserting 9 inches. A few more strokes later, he thrust a little harder, as Kushina felt some tears trickle down her cheeks, which Kasumi lovingly licked off. Naruto grunted as he finally managed to lodge all 10 inches of his meat in Kushina's love canal. He slowly withdrew as a gasp escaped Kushina's lips, the sudden emptiness feeling a bit weird. She felt her pleasure senses overloading as he thrust into her again at an agonizingly slow pace, filling her completely and stuffing her full of his meat. He slowly increased his pace and started thrusting in and out of her, while she started to moan in pleasure. Fuck, she screamed out in pleasure. Ouch. She looked down to see Kasumi slightly struggling to breathe under the combined weight of the mating duo, along with bearing the force of Naruto's thrusts. Kushina grunted as her blonde son once more filled her up completely, stretching her to the limit. The moment he withdrew for another thrust, she acted and lifted herself just a few inches. That time was enough for Kasumi, but she didn't do as Kushina had been expecting. Instead of getting out from under them, the girl simply reversed her position, so that she was right below the bonding of Kushina and Naruto. Kushina's breath hitched as she felt a tongue lick her and Naruto while she was still being pounded into what? She didn't need to look to know that the younger redhead was licking everything she could from her position. Naruto had to pause from time to time to let her take his balls in her mouth and suck on them. Once she released him and went back to licking, he resumed his pounding. Naruto groaned in pleasure as he felt Kasumi's tongue continue trailing up and down his cock with every thrust. He knew he couldn't hold on much longer if it kept going this way. Pumping in and out of Kushina continuously, he grabbed her hips tightly and squeezed them, increasing his pace. He felt her walls clamp down on his cock as she climaxed, her juices trying to find a way around his cock. Some of it leaked out, which was lapped up by Kasumi. Kushina screamed as pleasure overloaded her senses, and she blacked out. Naruto noticed this and sighed, waiting for her to wake up. Kasumi nibbled on her clit for a few moments before Kushina's eyes fluttered open, only for them to widen as Naruto resumed pumping her. Fuck! She whimpered in pleasure as Kasumi worked enthusiastically below her. Kushina closed her eyes in concentration, trying hard not to pass out from the intense waves of pleasure. Her son's dick and daughter's tongue were giving her. As she let her head fall down and relax between Kasumi's thighs, she realized that the only one not being paid any attention to was the one right below her. She hesitantly closed in the distance and placed a soft kiss on her daughter's slit. There was no response other than the fact that Kasumi had wrapped her hands around Kushina's waist, holding her more steadily as Naruto pounded into her harder. Gathering a bit more confidence, she started licking Kasumi up and down for a few moments before she inserted her tongue in her tight passage. Kasumi gasped and squirmed as her mother's tongue worked into her. No, I shouldn't let her do this. I should. But Anodi-chan seems to enjoy watching us like this. And Ka-chan too. She found it quite strange that she was enjoying herself this much, while some part of her mind was screaming at her for touching anyone other than Naruto. Her thoughts left her as she heard Naruto grunt loudly and slam into her mother hard. She took his balls in her mouth again and sucked on them. Feeling them start to convulse, she knew he was pumping his seed into the other redhead. She whimpered as she felt all of her precious brother's seed being pumped into someone else. As Naruto shot rope after rope of hot, thick spunk in Kushina's womb, each one earning a gasp from the redhead, he heard Kasumi's whimpers. Deciding to do her a little favor this one time, he thrust once more into Kushina, blasting some more semen into her before slowly withdrawing. It used all his concentration to hold his load as he got up and moved to the other side of the entangled redheads. Kushina gasped at the sudden emptiness she felt, but it was just as soon filled by Kasumi's tongue, who had decided she couldn't let Naruto's cum go to waste and started to suck it right out of the girl on top of her. Kushina gasped as Naruto used her hair to lift her head far enough so that he could see Kasumi clearly. The blonde had to force himself not to continue coming, but he somehow managed long enough to make Kasumi spread her legs enough for him to enter her. As he forced his way in, he was only able to get in about 4 inches in his sister before he could hold out no longer, and started shooting his demonic sperm inside the younger redhead. Kasumi screamed as her brother entered her. Then her screams turned into loud moans as she felt herself getting filled up with his yoki-rich sperm before their session even started. His hot, thick cum filled her for minutes as she felt herself getting close to her orgasm from the heat and the sensations of her mother nibbling on her clit. Kushina grinded her pussy against her daughter's tongue as she found herself getting more turned on than ever as she saw Naruto pump in and out of Kasumi, all the while blasting his sperm in her womb. "Andi-sama! Fuck me! Oni-sama!" Kasumi gasped out in pleasure. Naruto grunted as he pushed all the way inside Kasumi's now well-lubricated passage. The redhead gasped as she felt a slight twinge of pain, but shrugged it off as the pleasure she was feeling outweighed that feeling by far. Naruto started to thrust away at her in wild abandon, enjoying the immense slickness and warmth of her cum-filled passage. Some of it would spurt into the girl with every thrust, but his yoki was helping him make it faster than he could pump it in her. After 20 more minutes, Naruto lay on the bed, facing upwards with Kasumi straddling him around his waist. She slowly slid down on his long and stiff pole, her eyes rolling back in her head from the pleasure and slight pain, as brother's 10-inch pole filled her. "Anumi-chan," she moaned as she started to move up and down. Kushina climbed on top of Naruto's stomach as she started to make out with Kasumi. She licked Kasumi's lips and rubbed her nipples, Kasumi's strawberry scent resonating with her own, and mixed with Naruto's peppermint flavor. Her lips were intoxicating. Kasumi allowed Kushina to slip her tongue in, where she massaged it with her own while sucking on it with her soft lips. The other redhead found herself getting addicted to the feeling. Sochi-kun, you have some competition for you in the kissing department." She grinned at the blush forming on Kasumi's face. Naruto grunted as Kasumi kept grinding and bouncing on top of him, her tight and velvety body bringing him closer and closer to release at a fast pace. "Don't worry about it, Kei-chan. After I'm done with you, you won't remember anything else other than me next morning." He grinned. Kushina and Kasumi gave him a challenging smirk and spoke in perfect sync. "I'm not alone this time." Naruto raised an eyebrow as he grinned. "I will have to remind you who's the boss then." Both the redheads were confident that they will be able to satisfy him and more, now that they could take turns while one of them recovers. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be as easy as they thought. Warning. End. 5 hours later. Naruto smirked as both Kasumi and Kushina lay unconscious on the bed, snuggled to his chest on either side, muttering, "Naruto Onisama," every so often. They stood no chance. He sighed as he tried to stop grinning like mad and sleep. Eventually, he drifted off himself, wondering what task his mother was talking about. "We spent much more than 3 hours that we intended doing this. Oh well, it was our first time with the 3 of us together, so I guess it should be okay. Not like we will have so much time to have fun every day." End chapter. Chapter 16. Memories. Naruto woke up feeling warm and cozy, which was to be expected given he had 2 beautiful redheads cuddling with him on either side. While he couldn't have been happier, he had things to take care of that couldn't be ignored. But he didn't want to wake both of them up yet, as they had been incredibly exhausted from all their activities last night. Can't stay in bed, can't wake them up, and have to get out without being noticed. What to do. Got it. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Soon enough, a shadow clone popped up by the bedside, which he replaced himself with, leaving behind a very happy shadow clone cuddled between the 2 beauties. But who could blame him? After all, it wasn't every day that a shadow clone got to do something fun. Shinobi these days treated shadow clones worse than scum, and used them for their own benefits as if they were no better than slaves. Any that had tried revolting had been dispelled without mercy, and with their spirits broken, the shadow clones had just given up. Whenever they were created, they were slaves to the whim of the creator, no matter how cruel he may be. If not for the fact that shadow clones die, if the original is dead, the shadow clones would surely attack the one that had made them do all the tough and boring jobs that he should have been doing. No matter how well they perform a job, they never received praise, as if they were objects to be used, mere tools created for the purpose of accomplishing the caster's goals. Life wasn't good for a shadow clone, and even that subhuman life was usually short. How could humans treat them this way? They had thoughts too. They had a subconscious. Feelings. Why was fate so cruel to them? For one shadow clone, his prayers were answered today. This one was fairly content with his task. Sleeping between two soft, cuddly, hot, naked girls was definitely better than being the test dummy of a new sub-elemental Yogengan. Naruto had to resist the urge to punch the clone in the face and wipe the stupid grin off his face. Fucking bastard, but no matter, I will get the memories eventually and you will die. Coo. A few minutes later, Uzumaki training grounds. Naruto was sitting in the middle of the training area and meditating with his eyes closed. While he had absorbed Orochimaru's memories, he still had to sort through them if he was to know what they held. Of course, he caught slight glimpses and a basic overview of his earlier life, and it wasn't very pleasant. Regardless, he was a shinobi, and Orochimaru's memories were far too valuable to be simply discarded when he could take advantage of them. While he really didn't want to do this, he had to, for the sake of a safer future for him and his family. The information that he had the chance to obtain this way was priceless, as he will know everything that Orochimaru did before he left Enko behind in Konoha. There were mysteries just waiting to be discovered. Is Orochimaru really a Finjutsu master with an affinity for it like the Uzumaki? Or is someone like that helping him? If so, then who could he be getting help from? Besides, if he didn't sort through all of them now, even then they will remain in his mind, and he might remember them randomly through small flashbacks now and then. That just wouldn't do. He didn't want to have disgusting flashbacks in middle of any of his fights, or while he was doing something important, as that would do too much damage. Sighing in defeat, he started to sort through all the memories. Amegakura no Sato. A paper butterfly could be seen flying east. It wasn't anything extraordinary, really. In aim, it was a common sight. Everyone knew that these were the angel's messengers, and it was through them that she kept an eye on all her people. What they didn't know was that this particular butterfly had a different objective. Unfortunately, it seemed that its objective was going to remain incomplete, as it was sucked into a swirling black void before it could have a chance to move any further towards its location. One lone Sharingan eye could be seen glaring at the space where the butterfly used to be. His subordinates should have known better than to try to fool him. They will learn in due time. Within moments, vast quantities of paper started materializing around him and gathered together, taking the form of a blue-haired girl. Conan stared impassively at the figure before she spoke in an emotionless voice. No emotion was betrayed by her face or eyes either. If she was afraid of him, she didn't show it in the slightest. I don't like my spies being disturbed. It would be better for you if you don't ever do that again. The masked figure merely chuckled, not the least bit intimidated. Oh? But Toby didn't do anything. Toby is a good boy. Conan narrowed her eyes at him. Why is he acting like an idiot? There was no way that an Uchiha could act like that. They were supposed to be stuck-up pricks with arrogance bigger than mountains and infinite emo-ness. Cheerful, carefree, and idiotic personality was just wrong for an Uchiha. I would prefer if you leave us alone to do our jobs. We know how to do what we do, and we know what we're doing as well. She was slightly unnerved by the steely gaze of the masked man, which was a complete contrast of how he was acting. His eyes seemed to speak of her imminent death, while his composure and attitude were that of an idiot. Toby hopes you do know what you are doing. Toby is going to go play now. He hopes you don't get naughty while he's gone. The man vanished as his laughter echoed through the area. The laughter was childish. It didn't suit that person. However, that was not what bothered Conan. As soon as the traces of his presence were gone, a victorious smirk formed on Conan's face. Ooh. Amakij Tower. Conan reappeared in front of her two childhood friends, Yahiko and Nagato, in a flurry of papers. Neither of them was famous yet, and they didn't have any aliases for them either, like Konoha's Yellow Flash or Whirlpool's Red Death. But that wasn't because they were incompetent or any less dangerous. It was just that AIM had always been extremely secretive, and while they were legendary in AIM, no one outside except for a select few even knew if they existed or not. In AIM, Conan was quickly looked upon as God's angel, due to her angel-like appearance when using her origami ninjutsu to fly. Nagato himself was extremely mysterious and didn't show himself to people. It wasn't that he was shy or anything, but he didn't want trouble to come to AIM if people found out about his Dojutsu and decided that they wanted it for themselves. It didn't mean he would be afraid to reveal himself if needed. He was just waiting for the right time. No matter how much Conan and Yahiko tried to convince him otherwise, he wanted to make an awesome entry. His initial plan was to show himself while leveling Konoha to ground, which would have been awesome. But then he was reminded that there were people there that he didn't want to die, so that plan was out. At least until there was no one there that he cared about. He was still trying to come up with something better in case that didn't happen. If his enemies could see how awesome he was, their greed would turn into fear, and they won't try attacking his village. If they did, he would just have to kick their asses. The people in AIM knew that he was there, though. They called him God. He was flattered, really, but he thought that was a bit extreme, even for someone as awesome as himself. Conan told him that it was because he could make it rain and stop whenever he wanted. So since he could control the rain in the Rain Village, people thought he was God. He had told her that it was because of the Uzumaki water affinity amplified by the Rinnegan and powered by a lot of chakra. His water and air manipulation had reached levels where he could control the clouds themselves. While he needed to be at a really high elevation for it. If the Amakij Tower was anything, it was tall. Yahiko was the leader of the village, and people praised and looked up to him. But they didn't know much about him yet, so they just called him Yahiko-sama. Nagato's rippled eyes opened as he noticed her presence. "Hi, Conan-chan, did it work?" She nodded happily, obviously pleased with herself. After all, it was her who did all the work, while the two lazy bums sat here passing time and plotting against Madara. Yes, it went just as you had planned. Nagato had noticed that Madara had formed a detection barrier around AIM after his arrival here, possibly to weed out any spies. By sending a fake paper butterfly to attempt an escape towards Suna, they had made Madara think that either Conan was scouting like she claimed, or she was trying to contact Suna, either of which was good, as it will diverted his attention away from Konoha. The real messenger butterfly had been sent much earlier. It was hard to bypass Madara's barriers and avoid detection, but with Nagato's sealing skills and Rinnegan, it was easy enough. Nagato had let Conan borrow his chameleon summon to avoid detection. The barrier registered the chameleon as an animal, so it didn't react. Once she was a few miles away from the border, the chameleon allowed the paper clone of Conan hidden inside it to make the real paper butterfly messenger, which took its designated path. The paper clone that Conan had sent and the summoned chameleon dismissed themselves once their job was done. By now, the butterfly should have reached Konoha, and Madara had no idea if and whom the Rain 3, as they were titled, wanted to contact. Nagato nodded. His plan had worked greatly. He was just that awesome. It couldn't have failed, and he knew it. Good. Hopefully what little help we can provide them will be enough to keep them safe. I don't think we are ready to fight Madara right now. Yahiko thought about it for a moment. Since Madara hasn't specified too much details of his plan, we can't be sure of much. Also, Don't just accept that he's Madara, he might be someone else. Nagato nodded grimly. Awesome is forgotten. He did state, though, that we are to keep an eye on each of the Jinchuriki. And while I can't be sure if he is who he claims he is, I can assure you he is more powerful than any one of us. Perhaps the three of us together may be able to take him down, but I doubt we could do it without loss. Conan raised an eyebrow at that. We are going to keep an eye on the Jinchuriki? It's going to be that creepy guy Zetsu and me doing all the work when it comes to spying, while you two will sit here being lazy like always. She didn't say that, though. It was obvious. But there are 9 Jinchuriki and one-tailed beast roams free. Sanbai, I am correct. We have 12 main members, namely Kisame, Itachi, Kakuzu, Hidan, Sasori, Deodara, Zetsu, I, Yahiko, you and Madara. How are we to assign 2 members for each of them? And I'm pretty sure, or at least I hope, that some of these guys will be killed by the Jinchuriki, and some missions will fail. So, how is it that this is going to happen? Nagato grunted. I have already planned out how to go around that. Madara himself won't be doing anything except keeping an eye on our work. I have decided to assign Kisame, and Itachi for the Uzumaki. While they are both powerful, Kisame's water jutsu would be of little use against the Uzumaki. Itachi himself is one of our most dangerous members, however. I don't think he's here to help along with Madara's plans. Regardless, Madara has requested that Adichie be the one we assign to get the key Ibai hosts. Despite not getting why Madara would want Adichie to go after them specifically, Conan and Yahiko nodded. Itai was a mystery, like most members of Akatsuki, but he was a bit more complicated. He's very good at concealing his thoughts from others, but his actions don't make much sense. Someone who performed the great deed of cleansing the land of majority of the Uchihas couldn't be a bad person, right? The other two chuckled but nodded. It was true as far as they were concerned. Yahiko shook his head in amusement. Besides, I don't believe he really did that because he snapped or lost control of his emotions. That is just plain ridiculous. Did you see that guy? He's like the perfect example of a highly disciplined shinobi. He doesn't let any of his emotions guide his actions or show themselves, and if the reports of Sasori and Kisame are true, then Itachi doesn't really like fighting much and seems to be a pacifist. Have you ever heard about a pacifist slaughtering a clan for no reason whatsoever? And he doesn't act like someone who could snap and go, I will kill everything. He's way too calm and quiet. It's almost creepy. Conan frowned. While she had known about it to an extent, she hadn't completely thought it over. But now that Yahiko put everything in front of her like that, it didn't seem too good for them. Could he be a spy from Konoha? Nagato shook his head with a grimace. We can't be sure, Conan. There's a good probability that he is a spy. However, for all we know, he could just be a victim tricked by someone and framed as the killer for the Uchiha clan. The blue-haired girl tilted her head in confusion. Can't you just read his mind? I will not deny that I'm indeed awesome enough to read his mind, but that will need him to stay still while I hold his forehead, which I don't think he will let me do peacefully. And if we fight to subdue Itachi, it will attract suspicion from Madara, who we know is, as of now, stronger than any of us. We don't know about that. Let's just leave it for now until we get some more leads. We should keep an eye on Itachi, though. If he is a spy, he is most probably from Konoha, which makes him all the more risky as Konoha is the most dangerous enemy we have at the moment. They are the ones closest to the future. Let's just leave it for now until we get some more leads. We should keep an Let's just leave it for now until we get some more leads. We should keep an eye on Itachi, though. If he is a spy, he is most probably from Konoha, which makes him all the more risky as Konoha is the most dangerous enemy we have at the moment. They are the ones closest to the few people I care about other than you two. Conan nodded as she accepted her red-haired friend's response. I will do the job of keeping an eye on him. But he's pretty good at what he does, so I'm sorry if it doesn't help us out too much. Despite how childish Nagato behaved from time to time, he was the best strategist among the three of them, and while she would never admit it, he was the smartest too. But if she told him that he will just go on and on about how completely awesome he is. There were some things that were better left unsaid. Let's just try our best. Uzumaki Training Grounds. It took Naruto a complete hour to finish the process of assimilating Orochimaru's memories, and in the end even he felt mentally tired. While usually it only took him a few seconds to sort through the memories of hundreds of shadow clones, this was an entire lifetime worth of time he had to catch up with. The entire hour was a complete torture, and how he got the courage to go on was beyond even him to understand. Fucking shit, that was sick. I swear if I ever see that bastard I'm going to rip him to shreds. Hitomi's voice seemed exhausted from her dry heaving. Naruto couldn't help but agree with her. That was the worst way ever to ruin such a great morning. But the good thing was he still got hands on some useful information. Just then, much to his surprise, he saw a paper butterfly heading towards him from distance. Must be from Konan-san. I wonder what it's for. While he had gotten pretty good with origami ninjutsu, Konan was on an entirely different level. He was sure that Konan could see with that butterfly while making it last enough to reach Konoha from Amagakura, which was an astoundingly difficult feat. Someday I will learn how to do this, and fly, and how to dissolve into paper, and... Yeah, Hitomi droned. Naruto huffed. Why do people underestimate him all the time? Sure, he was making zero progress with origami ninjutsu, but if he keeps trying, he was sure he could do it no matter how impossible it seemed right now. Thousands of times zero is still a zero, though. He sighed in disappointment. He was missing something important that he needed to progress further with origami. A healthy mind, that's what you're missing, Hitomi informed him sagely. Naruto pretended not to hear her, but for Hitomi he was just proving that she was right by ignoring her. It wasn't that she didn't want him to become powerful, or she thought that he wasn't capable or strong. But she had told him again and again and again, and unless he completely dedicated himself to one thing, he couldn't reach the perfection of a sub-element, especially paper, which wasn't even a sub-element, and thus it was even harder to control. The only reason Naruto was able to control it was because there wasn't any element that he couldn't control, and after observing Konan for 2 years from time to time, he was bound to get something from the instructions she constantly gave him. Eventually I will find out. Until then I will have to work on other things. Hitomi gave up on telling him to give up. Shh! What a stubborn guy. The butterfly floated into his hand, and then unfolded itself into a straight sheet of paper. Within a few seconds, characters began to appear on it. Amazing! To have such control? But what he read caused Naruto's frown to grow deeper with every passing sentence. Naruto-kun, I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. By the time he had finished reading the letter, his hands were shaking with anger and apprehension. Shit! This is not good. A few minutes later, Uzumaki compound. The entire family was currently having a meeting that was called by Naruto. They weren't sure what he had to say to them, but it was very rare for him to do this kind of thing. Given how close they were to each other, to be so formal with them was something they wouldn't expect from Naruto unless something really serious was being discussed. Natsumi had been studying more on Anko's seal, trying to modify it to better suit their needs if possible. Removing it was easy enough if the person hadn't used it even once, which Anko hadn't. But they hadn't removed it yet, merely disabled it completely. Removing it would bring questions from anyone who might see it as to where the seal went. Naruto coughed lightly, catching everyone's attention. I got a message from our friends in AIM, Nagato, Konan, and Yahiko. Apparently, Uchiha Madara has shown up out of nowhere and taken control over the Akatsuki. This caused Hitomi to growl in his mind. Sure, she knew about it already since Naruto had read that message, but hearing that name alone made her blood boil. Normally, everyone would have been shocked, and would have questioned Naruto on what he meant by Madara had taken over Akatsuki, and how he was alive in the first place. But the Uzumaki had already been informed of the true Uchiha history. They knew Madara had received some of Hitomi's powers when he achieved the eternal Mangenkyo Sharingan, which included immortality. This only solved the mystery of where he was and what he was doing. However, as much as they wanted to, they knew that Uchiha Madara was probably stronger than any of them. They needed time to prepare for him. After letting the information sink in, Naruto continued. From what Nagato-san and others are able to discern, he plans on taking over the world by becoming the J-Bai Jinchuriki, or capturing the entire world in a massive Tsukiyomi by placing an image of his eye on the moon. This caused all four girls to sweat drop. Seriously, world domination. That is so... Naruto shrugged. I guess. I don't care what happens to the rest of the world. But the bastard was responsible for what happened to Ki-chan. And even if we somehow let that pass, he wants mine and Kasumi's head. They all nodded simultaneously. Madara was already on Hitomi's shit list. This just made him a higher priority for them. But the thing that worries me is the excessive power he is gathering. He is recruiting S-rank missing ninja for his cause. Nagato-san has sent us all the info he has on them, so that we know what we are up against. Here it goes. First is Uchiha Madara, probably one of the strongest shinobi alive. Nagato-san isn't sure about his fighting style, but since he's an Uchiha, we can expect especially powerful fire techniques, and of course the deadly eternal Mangenkyo's expert usage. I will try to find out more about him from any records from Shodai Hokage's time. Next is Deidara of Iwagakure, the mad bomber, who used to terrorize Tsuchi no Kuni for fun? Nagato-san says that he uses some strange technique to complement his Bakutan bloodline. The explosion release is one of the deadliest bloodlines from Iwa, so he's definitely not to be underestimated. Then there is Haiden of Yugagakure, who is said to be immortal. No matter how much damage anyone manages to inflict on him, he just shrugs it off and moves on. Other than that, it isn't clear how he fights as of yet. Supposedly, he's not much of a threat, but it doesn't hurt to be careful. Next is Kisame Hoshigaki of Kirigakure, strongest of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Shishinen Shin, the seven swordsmen of the mist. Definitely not one to be taken lightly, as if Nagato-san's eyes didn't deceive him. The guy had as much chakra as the Ichibi. Holy shit! No kidding. That's what he said. Natsume-chan, while he keeps most of it suppressed, he can't deceive the Rinnegan. The golden-haired girl gulped, and the others felt their nervousness increase with Naruto's words. So far, it was bad for them. Not just bad, but absolutely terrifying. Konoha was no longer the biggest threat to them. An even bigger threat had entered the picture now. It's not over yet. There are a few more, bear with me until then. Kakuzu of Takigakure is also with them. Another immortal that everyone thought was dead, till now. He fought Hashirama Senju and escaped alive, which is very impressive. I doubt he's anywhere near Madara or Hashirama's level, but that doesn't make him any less of a threat than the other S-rank nin. Next is Sasori of the Red Sands, the legendary puppet master of Sunagakure, another one of those supposedly dead missing nins. Like most puppet masters, he uses poisons. But what makes him stand out is his use of human puppets. Depending on the human, he's able to use their jutsu as well. That means he is capable of using almost any bloodline out there that he can get his hands on. The next name is from this village itself, Uchiha Itachi. Thanks to him, there is no Uchiha clan we have to put up with. Well, except for Makoto-san, whom we don't mind, and Sasuke we do mind. He's a genius. Very fast. Very good at strategy, his bloodline, and genjutsu. Interestingly, Nagato-san thinks he has unclear motives. Next is one of the few names I've never heard of, Zetsu from Kusagakure. He's Madara's personal spy. We don't know much else about him. But if Madara keeps him around, he must be good. At the very least, we should assume him to be S-class. The rest of the group consists of the AIM trio and their friends. Most of them are around a rank. While they're all powerful, they're not a threat to us as they are ultimately on our side. This didn't change the tense atmosphere of the room. Even with Nagato, Yahiko, and Conan by their side, if they were to fight against a group like that, there was no telling which way the battle will go. In fact, it will most likely go against them. Moreover, they didn't know anyone capable of beating Madara Uchiha. Each of them could hold their own. They were powerful. But only Nina and Kushina had the skills and experience needed to deal with an S-rank ninja without any help. Naruto could possibly hold his own against a single S-rank ninja as well, maybe even win. Kasumi and Natsumi were powerful too, but S-rank ninja might be too much for either of them. That particular class of shinobi was reserved for people who could beat squads of jonin without breaking a sweat. Only an S-rank could beat another S-rank. Their entire clan combined could fight off against 4 or 5 S-rank ninja at most. Any more, and they will eventually succumb to exhaustion or injuries and fall. With the AIM Trio's help, they could possibly take on 7 or 8 S-rank ninja, but that still left Madara free to do whatever he wanted. They were not ready. What are we going to do now, Kacchan? Kushina had expected powerful enemies to come after them, but she didn't expect them to be that powerful. 2 or 3 S-rank ninja could possibly take out an entire hidden village, and unless someone akin to a cage-level ninja interferes, they would be unstoppable. But S-rank missing ninja never got together. They just didn't need to, nor did they want to help anyone else when they could do anything they might need by themselves. Against 8 or possibly more S-rank ninja, and that was without even considering that Madara was higher than S-rank. Even the 5 great shinobi villages combined would think twice before facing a force like that. This was just too much for a single clan to face. Maybe if Uzushigakure was still standing, then they could. Suddenly, an idea popped up in her mind, which caused her to smirk despite the situation they were in. Naruto-koi, do you remember how Uzushigakure fell? Naruto nodded. Yes. 3 of the great shinobi villages, Iwagakure no Sato, Kirigakure no Sato, and Kumogakure no Sato, joined their forces and launched a combined strike in an effort to end the fearsome clan they thought might help the Konoha alliance in battle and change the tides. Kirigakure was the strongest of the great 5 villages at that time, with bloodline clans stronger than Konoha's and no civil wars breaking it internally. They suffered great losses, but eventually they managed to wipe out Uzushigakure. He finished with a frown. Kushina nodded with a smile. If you take only fighting capacity into consideration, Uzushigakure was very much similar to Akatsuki, a small number of extremely strong individuals. But even though they were greatly outnumbered, 3/4 of the invading force was slaughtered. This, of course, gave the Suna-Konoha alliance the much-needed edge by reducing their opponents to 1/4 of what they should have been. It also made Konoha the greatest ninja village. As all of them scowled, Kushina continued. The reason I'm telling you this is alone. Uzumaki clan was strong enough to wipe out any of the great ninja villages. But when 3 of them combined and the other 2 didn't help, you get what I mean. We need allies. Loyal allies. That will help us take out the Akatsuki without taking too much major loss. Now, while shinobi villages can be allies, that's only for show. I won't ever trust any shinobi village. When it comes down to it, all they want in the end is their own welfare. If we are in real trouble, then we can't be sure if we'll get help or not. Kushina continued as the others nodded along. We'll be gathering any and all potential allies we can find and rebuild the village hidden in the whirling tides. It will be a slow process, no doubt, but it's going to be very effective and reliable. These allies can be a single person, a group, or a clan. We'll make sure they're loyal to us, and then make them settle down in Uzushigakure. While we are rebuilding the village and gathering allies, we can work for Mei-chan. Once our village is capable of functioning independently, we will be able to concentrate on getting rid of our problems, like Konoha and Akatsuki. I'm pretty certain that Kirigakure no Sato will be our ally. But I can't, and won't count on them. Our clan did that with Konoha, and that was their last mistake. I don't doubt Mei's loyalty to me, but Kiri is an entirely different matter. The only ones we'll count on while being attacked are the ones who will be attacked with us. That is, the clans and people residing within Uzushiogakure at that time. Do any of you have anything to ask about this? Naruto and the 3 Uzumaki women shook their heads, signifying acceptance of Kushina's plan. Before she could continue, however, Naruto interjected. While I agree with you, there are a few more things I needed to tell everyone. Kushina gave him a nod. Okay. Firstly, Uzushiogakure wasn't completely annihilated. At the very least, there are a few more survivors. It's likely that there were a few of them traveling when the village was attacked, and hence managed to survive. Like you were in Konoha to visit Mito-san. But Sochi-kun, our clansmen rarely left the village due to the high risk of abduction and assassination by the other hidden villages. Konoha was our only ally at that time, and as far as I know, I was the only Uzumaki here at that time. Naruto gave her a nod, but his smirk told her that the discussion was far from over. That's true, Kachan. But then why is it that there is this Uzumaki girl helping Orochimaru with his cursed seal? I'll tell you some of what I found out from Orochimaru's memories. Firstly, the girl herself doesn't know she's an Uzumaki. She is aware that she's from a bloodline clan, as she can heal with her blood, has exceptional chakra reserves, and an uncanny talent for F-injutsu. However, Orochimaru has kept her on a tight leash and prevented her from finding out her real origins. We should save her from him then, as soon as possible. No, Nina-chan. That's unacceptable right now. The girl is completely loyal to Orochimaru. Not surprising given he's been with her since she was just a child. She must think of him as her father. We can't just save her, as she'll just backstab us later. The short-haired girl seemed to deflate upon hearing his words. Then, what should we do about her now? Naruto gave her a pointed look. Nothing. We simply can't take our focus away from getting out of Konoha first. Once we get this done, we will work on rebuilding Uzushiogakure as much as possible. Meanwhile, if we somehow encounter her, we'll take her into custody, with or without her consent. If that happens, she will need to be watched constantly, and if she's a threat, well... Nina stood up from her position, shocked by his words. No, not to our own. Wait, Nina. I know this sounds bad, but if the girl doesn't care about us, and is on Orochimaru's side, to leave her be would increase his strength considerably. That'll be dangerous for us. Further, we can't be sure what she's like right now. What Sochi-kun is saying is based on Orochimaru's memories. It could be that the girl has been deceiving him all along. The pale-eyed girl seemed to calm down upon hearing their reasoning. That's true. But unless absolutely necessary, please don't kill her. Naruto gave her a grin. Don't worry. We don't have anything against her. And trust me, it'd be great for all of us if she becomes loyal to us. If she doesn't, though, that's not too much of a loss. Either way, as long as she's not a threat, she'll be spared. Aside from that, someone named Shino from the supposedly annihilated Land of Sky helped Orochimaru perfect his immortality technique. Not that it matters too much, but still. Oh, and just to clear it up, Karen herself isn't very good with Ainjutsu. In fact, she was never properly taught much about it. But she's got more than a few decent ideas regarding seals and a very good innate grasp of F-Finjutsu. I think Orochimaru didn't want any of his subordinates getting too strong, so he only taught her the very basics and prevented her from dwelling too much into it. They made a mental note to pay the Shino guy a visit. The man must be a genius to be able to create a technique that could provide a regular person with pseudo-immortality, and despite him having had helped their enemy, he could be of use. If not, then he was just too dangerous to leave out alive helping their enemies. They understood that Orochimaru probably didn't teach Karen sealing because of the fear of her getting too strong for him to control. But the natural talent Uzumaki had with F-Injutsu was not to be underestimated. What could be considered normal ideas by them were actually genius plans for normal Jutsu users. As such, Karen's ideas combined with Tsunade's research on her shadow seal and Jiraiya's notes gave birth to Orochimaru's cursed seal. He was a part of their squad and they did most of the missions together, so it wasn't too hard for him to get a hold of their research. Wait, if he already had an Uzumaki girl in his grasp, why go after Natsume then? Nina questioned the group. Kushina leaned back into the sofa, slightly tired mentally by all the recent revelations. Naruto-kun. Karen is only a 1/4 Uzumaki. That means no Uzumaki Jinsei Kizuna Fen existed between her grandmother and grandfather, one of whom was a full Uzumaki. Then one of her parents bred with another civilian or non-Uzumaki ninja and gave birth to her, once again without the Uzumaki Jinsei Kizuna Fen. Hence, while she has surprisingly inherited a part of our bloodline when it comes to blood healing, even her DNA doesn't show any signs of advanced regeneration or longevity. Hence, he was very interested in getting his hands on a half or pure-blooded Uzumaki. It doesn't matter if they use regeneration or blood healing or longevity. As long as their blood isn't diluted, their DNA will contain all the information Orochimaru needs. Kushina sat there thinking over everything. While Nina was the most experienced and the eldest, she wasn't really leading material as she had lived alone most of her life, free and independent. As such, most of the decisions were made by Kushina for them. This was no exception. Anything else? Naruto thought everything over in his mind but didn't find anything he might have missed. Not really. Good. Then, here is what we are going to do. We will train and get stronger like usual. Gather as many allies as we possibly can, and once we are capable of doing so, re-establish Uzushogakure. Until the village is strong enough to be independent, we'll be taking any missions we can from Kiri, thanks to Mei. With our allies, we should be able to fend off Akatsuki and other major threats better. Also, in order to make sure that Akatsuki doesn't get too strong, we will be collecting demon containers ourselves. If they join us willingly, great. Otherwise, we can't let them fall into our enemies' hands. This saddened both Kasumi and Naruto. After all, Jinchuriki already had suffered a lot in their lives. They were lucky to have Kushina while growing, and they wouldn't even dare to imagine what their lives would have been like if Kushina wasn't there. Regardless, their mother's voice was firm, signifying that her decision was absolute. If they had faith in her, they won't go against it, and they had complete faith in their mother. As far as Karen is concerned, capture her on sight. Also, don't refer to her as Uzumaki Karen, since she's technically not one. Maybe one of her grandparents was, but not her. She just got a part of our bloodline and latent talent with Jutsu. Other than that, she's just another girl. We will kill her if she is loyal to Orochimaru, or she can stay with us if she is not. We can't trust her completely even then, after all. She did help Orochimaru with things she didn't need to and wasn't ordered to. For today, I'd planned to take up as many D-rank missions as possible, and complete them with our shadow clones. Meanwhile, the originals, including you, Nina-san, will be going to make our first alliance. Nina nodded her assent. She got bored sitting in the compound all day anyway. Not like she had much to do except making scrolls of supposedly extinct techniques and training Natsumi. Kushina continued as she saw Nina accept her part. We'll be leaving in an hour. That's when the mission assignments start. You're all free to do whatever you want till then. She left the room hurriedly after that. So many problems. Why does everything have to be so difficult? She knew it would be difficult for her children if they had to kill any Jinchuriki, and even more for all of them if they had to kill an Uzumaki, even if she was only a quarter-blooded one. But she will have to take the blame for it. If she was the one giving the order, the others can have some peace of mind, knowing that they didn't have a choice in the matter. She will be the only one who will have the pain of knowing that she was the one responsible for it. But she will do it, for the happiness of those she loves. For her family. Natsumi-chan, do you have a moment? Natsumi stopped in her tracks as she looked back to notice both her siblings standing right behind her. Sure, what did you need Naruto-kun, Kasumi-chan? She asked them curiously. She gasped as Kasumi wrapped her arms around her waist, while Naruto pulled her closer to himself and kissed her lightly on the lips. Not expecting this, she stiffened for a moment before she heard Kasumi's voice. Relax, Wani-chan. We'll explain everything later, just go with it. She tried to calm herself, but failed as Naruto pushed his tongue in her mouth and started exploring it. At the same time, Kasumi started to nibble on her neck. She couldn't help but moan a bit as Naruto squeezed her breasts lightly. Deciding to follow her instincts, she started to return the kiss. After a few minutes, Naruto finally parted, leaving a dazed Natsume gasping for breath. Not that I didn't like it, Natsume started, but why all of a sudden? Kasumi smiled at her confused sister and glanced at Naruto. The blonde Jinchuriki grinned. That was a gift from Hitomi-chan. It will help you with your medical stuff if you could see chakra right. Besides, it doesn't hurt to have an extra tool at your disposal, even if there isn't too much use to it. Natsume's brow creased in confusion as she tried to make sense of what Naruto was telling her. Just channel some chakra into your eyes and you'll see. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'm leaving for some training now. See you later, Kasumi-chan, Natsume-chan. With that, Naruto left them in the hallway. I'm really weak compared to Oni-chan in a few things, so I guess I'll go train too, Kasumi said as she started walking away. Natsume sighed as she saw them both leave. What am I to do now? Sure, just surprise me like that and then leave without a proper explanation. A few minutes later, Natsume's lab. Natsume had been shocked and astonished when she found out her brother had given her the Sharingan. Despite that, she was really grateful to him and made a note to thank him later. Although admittedly there wasn't too much she could do with the Sharingan. Sure, she could see chakra, great. But other than that, there wasn't really that much to be done. She wasn't really a ninjutsu specialist, so copying techniques was next to useless for her. Moreover, copy taijutsu was as good as academy fighting style without proper conditioning. Besides, she already had perhaps the best taijutsu style there was. All she needed to do was perfect it. That left genjutsu. She was not bad at it really, and in fact thanks to her perfect chakra control she could be great at it. But they didn't have any great genjutsu in the Uzumaki library. The only one that could be used on higher level opponents effectively was the Nidame's Bringer of Darkness's technique. She wished she had someone like Uchiha Itachi to teach her genjutsu. But that was just wishful thinking. And the genjutsu mistress of Konoha, Yohi Kurenai's best genjutsu were actually quite pathetic in her opinion. From what her mother had told her, the best genjutsu Kurenai had ever shown was one in which she had disabled the enemy from forming any hand signs and unable to move until the genjutsu is dispelled. While that would be certain death for many, a truly skilled ninja should always know how to break genjutsu without hansels. It was extremely risky if the shinobi or kunoichi had to form a hand seal every time they dispel a genjutsu. If they were fighting with a weapon, they will have to disarm themselves before they could break the genjutsu. Moreover, if the genjutsu was multi-layered, they will be caught in the position holding the releasing hand sign for a few seconds, making them an easy target for the enemies. But if they had mastered breaking genjutsu without hand seals, they will be able to fight and break the genjutsu at the same time, making them a much harder opponent to kill. It was a shame. Konoha didn't have a clan which specialized in genjutsu. As far as she knew, she was really interested in the art. If she were to master genjutsu, then their family will have a specialist in every ninja art, making them a formidable combination without many weaknesses. She sighed as she cleared her thoughts. This was getting nowhere. She will find someone to teach her what she wanted eventually. Her mother said so. After clearing her thoughts, she got back on her current task, making the cursed seal's enzyme useful to them without any side effects. A few minutes later, in Natsume's lab, Anko woke up feeling groggy and in pain. She tensed as she remembered all the events that led to her capture. The Uzumaki boy had beaten her and made it look easy, Why was she so weak? And then, she had failed to kill herself. And now she was here, probably to be tortured for some secrets and whatnot. She stiffened as she got the feelings of her body back. Someone was lying on top of her. She opened her eyes to see the offender was who was possibly raping her. A girl with long blonde hair and ocean blue eyes was straddling her waist, leaning down to inspect her neck multiple times and making notes. Anko relaxed as she realized she wasn't being raped, but felt her anger flare as she noticed it was the cursed seal the girl was inspecting. So these people are working for Orochimaru and probably checking how the seal had worked so far, or its effects on me. "Get off me, you bitch!" Anko yelled. Natsumi jumped away in surprise, before calming herself. "Sheesh, you don't have to be so loud," she mumbled, before drawing a quick seal on Anko's throat. "There, that should keep you quiet." Anko started to yell again, or tried to. She soon enough realized that no matter how much she tries to yell, no voice was going to come out till that seal on her throat gets taken off. But that didn't stop her from glaring or leaking killing intent. "This fucking bitch is using a silencing seal on me while I can't move. I'll make her pay if I ever get free." Natsumi sighed as she addressed Anko again. "Look, don't make this difficult. Stop trying to flay around. I don't really hate you or anything, given your life here wasn't exactly pleasant either. If you're willing to talk like a mature person, I will remove the seal. If not, then I will just keep doing my work here, and you will keep your mouth shut. On a side note, don't screw with anyone else you see here. You might lose your tongue." Anko was well aware that her chances of surviving now were really low, but she wasn't the type of woman who would just give up. She tried to calm herself, as it won't do any good to make hasty decisions. After a few deep, calming breaths, she nodded at her captor. "I can't tell how many, but there must be many seals all over me or around me to put me in this position. I can't feel my chakra, can't really move. How do I get out of this? If these were ropes, I'd be out in a minute. Even if they were chakra binders, I'd be out quickly enough. But I'm no effing jutsu expert." Agreeing with her will get at least one of these seals removed, though. Natsumi smiled as she released the seal on Anko's throat. After contemplating on a proper way to start, Anko looked at Natsumi as she asked the thing that was bothering her most. "I want to know what's going on. What do you guys want from me?" Natsumi grinned as she started speaking. "Well, there are a few things that I can't tell you, but I will answer everything I can. First of all, your former master Orochimaru has his eyes on our bloodline. So he will probably be coming after us and more likely than not give one of us that ugly hickey. Or try..." She pointed at Anko's neck, causing her to scowl. Sure, she didn't like the seal, but no part of her was ugly. "I'm relieved they're not with Orochimaru, but I still don't like this one bit." Ignoring the scowl and glare from Anko, Natsumi continued. "So we wanted to know what we will be facing. And you were the only one in the village with that cursed seal. You could have just asked me, you know. I could have let you see it," Anko responded. Natsumi giggled softly at Anko. "There is so much you don't know, Anko-san. If we had approached you with a request to study your cursed seal, bad things would have happened. The Hokage isn't who you think he is." That confused Anko more than ever. What does she mean Hokage isn't who I think he is? "You see, Anko-san, the Hokage was always suspicious of your behavior. After all, you were with Orochimaru while he was performing his experiments, and never once did you inform the village leaders about it. Did you?" Anko's eyes widened at that accusation. That was one of her most guarded secrets. She had stuck with Orochimaru through everything, even helped with some of his experiments, knowing deep down that it was wrong. But at that time, she had faith in her sensei, and besides, those were Konoha's enemies and villagers from other nations, so it didn't matter, right? It was only after Orochimaru had started experimenting with Konoha citizens that Anko had started getting uncomfortable. But yet, she had stayed with him, keeping his work a secret from others. All the guilt was really starting to creep up on her, But Natsumi interrupted before Anko could drown herself in self-loathing. The Hokage was always suspicious of you. Additionally, it was known to him that one of the Cursed Seal's objectives was to make his subordinates more loyal to Orochimaru. So, after some consulting with the council, a tracking seal and a remote kill seal was put on you. I know of this because Kasama is in the council as well. But we removed those seals after we captured you, of course. Anko's eyes widened in shock. The old man had put a tracking seal on her, and she could understand that. But a remote kill, she wasn't that bad, right? Besides the death from the remote kill seal was the ultimate agony and torture. There was a reason the Hyga branch family never revolted against the main branch. The very thought of dying through so much pain was enough to weaken the resolve of even the most hardened ninja. And she had thought that there was at least one person in the village that trusted her and wanted her to live. We've already taken out the part of Orochimaru's soul from the seal. What? Anko yelled. She couldn't help it. There was a part of that creep's soul in her. So that's why I felt so violated every day. Yes, it was there to make you more loyal to him or something like that. But don't worry, as we took it out and destroyed it. After absorbing all its memories, of course. Which I think was a very, very bad idea, she added in her mind. But that brings us to you. What is it that you want to do with your life now? I know you aren't really happy with this village. Are you, Anko-san? Anko looked defiantly in Natsumi's eyes. Of course I was happy with my life in the village before you decided to kidnap me. And get off me. I don't want to be in such a sexy position with a 14-year-old girl. No matter how pretty. This is no sexy position. First of all, I'm not interested in you one bit. Not even remotely. Even if we both die and are reborn again, I won't be interested in you. Secondly, we're in this position because I'm studying a part of your seal. I did not ask for your consent to do so. Thirdly, while I'm the most lenient in my family, don't fuck with me or you will regret it. If you don't already know how much pain a good medic can inflict, I assure you, you don't want to find out. Anko gulped. I've seen what medics can do, all right. Even the cases Morino-kun couldn't break were cracked by Tsunade during the previous Shinobi War. And I wouldn't dare piss off Morino-kun, even if I'm on my period. That doesn't change the fact that other than you kidnapping me, my life in Konoha has been good enough for me to be happy. Natsumi shook her head sadly at her. Who are you trying to lie to yourself? You did everything you could to show your loyalty to Konoha. You are far more qualified than most of the jonin this village has, and yet you are only Tokubetsu jonin, only slightly higher in rank than a high chanin. Kind of strange for a girl who was chanin at 12, isn't it? To stay in that same position for more than a decade is strange, don't you think? Anko clenched her teeth in anger as she shook her head in denial. You are wrong. The Hokage couldn't give me a promotion because the council denied it. Oh, come the fuck on. How is that supposed to be a good point? Besides, all Konoha ninja are under Hokage's command. And only his... If he really wanted to promote you, he could have. The council is only there to advise him. He asked for an advice on your promotion and it got denied. Do you really think he didn't know what would happen if he asked for an advice on that matter? This whole village hates you, almost everyone in it. Maybe a few people don't really hate you, but they don't love you either. Is that enough to make you give up your life for this hellhole of a village? Natsumi questioned. Anko clenched her eyes shut as she denied everything. But deep down, she knew it was all true. The village didn't hate her enough to form mobs to send after her every day. Like they would if Naruto was an easy target without the Uzumaki clan's protection. But the looks of loathing and hatred, suspicion, and the occasional assault on her was something she had been trying to forget. Natsumi sighed as she looked at the woman in pity. Look, Anko-san, if you swear your loyalty to us, I will talk to Kea-chan about sparing you. You will be under surveillance, of course, but we will at least treat you like a human being and give you a chance to live a somewhat normal life outside the village. Anko shook her head as she thought about it. She had friends in the village, and she couldn't betray them just like that. She would rather die. What friends do you have here, Anko-san? Natsumi questioned, seemingly reading her mind. In reality, she had just been observing Anko carefully enough to notice the small details and predict what she might be thinking. Anko looked at her in surprise. How did she know what was going on in her mind? But she decided to answer it anyway. There are a lot of people who don't hate me here. Like my best friend, my friends in the torture and interrogation unit, and the Hokage. Natsumi tried to hold her laughter in, but in the end she failed horribly as she started laughing. That's it? The Hokage? That man being anyone's friend is such a bad joke. She laughed more until she calmed herself down after a few minutes. And Yohi Kurenai? Fine, but she just seems to be barely able to tolerate you. It's always you who are clinging to her and babbling stuff to her. We've been watching you from time to time for a while now, Anko-san. Kurenai doesn't hate you, but she doesn't think of you as a friend either. If you were to die tomorrow, she won't be celebrating like the villagers, but she won't be hurt like a real friend would have been. And your friends in torture and interrogation unit? Those will be the very same people who are going to torture you if the Hokage orders it, or you go against the village. And Kurenai will kill you as well if you go against the village. The entire village is against you. How long can you endure it? Are you willing to live a life like that for the rest of your existence? Be called snake slut and snake bitch or whatever. Act happy around people who hate you and are disgusted by you just being there. Not only that, but to die for the people that are disgusted by you and will celebrate your death? That sounds so pathetic that I feel sorry for you, which is the only reason I am offering you this choice. Think about it for a while and make a decision. I'll be back for an answer later. Natsumi left without another word, leaving Anko to ponder on her future. Was she really so pathetic? Was she going to pretend to be ignorant and die protecting people who are disgusted by her, hate her, loathe her? Was that what her life was going to be like? Or was she going to die here, no one knowing how she died and why she died? Or maybe she will be labeled a missing ninja and hunted for. Or there was the alternative choice. To join her captors, the same group of people who had subdued and kidnapped her. It was funny. The only people who took pity on her were the ones who had bound her to this floor as a test subject. As it was right now, neither of them looked too appealing. As is the human nature, she would have resisted change. Given any real choice, she would have preferred Konoha against the Uzumaki. But she knew no matter how lenient the golden-haired girl seemed, Anko will be dead if she made that choice. What will I do? What should I do? Chapter end. Let me know what you Hi! Chapter 17. The Kurama Anbu. When Kushina had told the others about creating a possible alliance with someone in Konoha, Natsumi had been one of the most surprised members of the group. During her stay in the village, she hadn't once seen someone who had reacted positively to their presence. Sure, there were the lustful stares, but those could hardly be considered positive. Behind those lustful feelings, the citizens of Konoha only harbored hatred and repulsion for the Uzumaki. In her more than 2 years of observing Konoha, not once had someone smiled at them without any ulterior motive. And then her mother wanted to create an alliance with people like that. The very thought made her shiver. Yes, there are a few people here who don't completely hate us, but they aren't our well-wishers either. Who might Kachan be thinking of? Who would pick us over Konoha? Noticing it was almost time for them to leave, she rechecked her scrolls and supplies before making her way towards the rest of the family. She could feel their chakra signatures downstairs in the living room. Given we're all strong when it comes to individual strength, I doubt Ka-chan is looking for independent shinobi or kunoichi. Most likely she will be going for a group of them to add to our numbers, probably a clan then. That brought another question up: which clan could Kushina see as a potential ally? Uchiha are gone, and Hyuga will never work alongside Nina. Nara, Akimichi, and Yamanaka are completely loyal to Konoha, so that's not an option either. Perhaps one of the minor clans, but aren't they too weak to support us? And even so, Every single clan here is either jealous of us or hates us for housing Naruto-kun. But if Kaya-chan thinks there is some clan good enough, I will have to trust her. Natsu-chan. Startled, Natsumi turned to see Nina right behind her. I was sure she was downstairs with others. Must have moved while I was lost in thoughts. Nina-san, what do you need? I just wanted to tell you to be careful if you encounter any powerful enemies today. I don't mean to hurt your confidence, but currently you're not on a level where you should be running independent. But of course, Kushina-san decided that we will be splitting up, at least for a few minutes. I want you to be careful when that happens, Kay. As soon as she had nodded, Nina was gone with a Shunshin no Jutsu. Okay. I'm pretty sure I can handle up to mid-jonin level opponents. So if Nina-san is worried, we're messing with either the elite jonins or Ambu. The thought made her uneasy, but if her mother and siblings trusted her to be able to handle it, she would have to trust herself as well. Nina-san will definitely watch me with her Dojutsu, but I'll still try my very best to honor her and Kei-chan's time spent training me. Is this a test, Ka-chan? Or maybe I'm just overthinking it. The thought of her training made her shudder. While Kushina was merciless with her training, Nina was positively brutal. Another thing that bothered her was the fact that Nina only trained her, and not Kasumi. It could be because she didn't ask for it, but I get the feeling that Nina-san only wants to teach me. Her interest in me is unusual, and I think Ka-chan knows this too. Could it be because I'm not a standard Uzumaki girl because of my hair, like she isn't either because of her eyes? Regardless of the brutality, after her training, Natsumi's confidence and skills shot up above and beyond what she ever thought she could possibly achieve. And throughout it all, Nina had been extremely patient and comforting with her flaws, such as low chakra capacity. The brutality was reserved for drilling the concepts into her, and not for ridiculing her. That thought caused a frown to grace her face. It had taken her a while to understand the concept, but she had finally been able to find out the reason for her low chakra reserves. The first and foremost was the lack of training she received before her reunion with her family. But that was something she could easily overcome by doing extra training now, which she was doing all she could. The reason behind her low reserves had been something she had suspected from the beginning. The healing property of her blood required a constant amount of chakra being infused into her bloodstream, which consumed a lot of her chakra over time. The worst part was, it was subconscious and out of her control. No matter how much she tried to prevent it, it happened anyway. After a while, she had given up on it and started to look for alternative means to boost her chakra reserves. Kasumi had been a great help with that issue. The concept of nature chakra that their mother had told them about had been so fascinating that they just couldn't ignore it. With a few seals placed on her body to gather natural energy, she would have been able to rival Jinchuriki in terms of chakra capacity.